All right, and we are live. Welcome to the next episode of the AI Chefs Live. Kevin, great to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you, Chef David.
Good
It's
to be here.
good to be always good to be in the AI generated AI chef's kitchen. So
Once again with our virtual hats. I have my real hat now. It's right around the corner, but I still like the virtual hats or
no, I
AI
think
hats.
I think it shows off AI. So there you go.
So this is a special episode because Zoomtopia just happened. Should we have two stories today. We have an OpenAI story and we have Zoomtopia. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the OpenAI story because because we didn't do a show last week because you were
At the
traveling
NEAT event.
at the NEAT event.
Hello, my
So
friends at NEAT. Great
And so,
event.
so, but anyway, let's start with this OpenAI research paper, right? So, this came out on September 5th. We could show a picture of it if just that way
Oh,
it's on the OpenAI site. So, um, yeah, I was going to talk about this last week, and then you saw another article that referred to this, right? So this is the actual
exactly.
study. There's been a lot of articles about it, but it was fascinating to me, Chef David, because, so like the title says, why language models hallucinate. And the research was very clear, which is um, because they're rewarded to make up stuff. And that's
Well,
really all the benchmarks, that the models, the LLMs are, used to score and everybody looks which model's better. They don't give you any points for saying you don't know.
yeah, they no, they
So
punish you. The
right,
things that
right.
really things they punish the models when the model says I don't know. They punished it, and if it gives a confident but wrong answer, they rewarded it. So what do you think the models are going to do? They should have rewarded the models for saying I don't know. That's a great answer. I don't know is such a better answer than
Right.
a made up answer, but that's the way they've been trained. And what scares me is when I read that part, I'm like, okay, so they could fix it. Just do reevaluations, and this time give them points for saying I don't know and take away points. But and this is a little above my head, but it made it seem like this is something that's not going to be fixed. This isn't a problem with the implementation. This isn't a problem with the training. This is just the way they are, and it's always going to be a problem. I'm like, oh no, that was scary for me. I was thinking this is a
Okay.
new technology. When things are new, they're bad. They're going to fix this. But it made it seem like, no, this is just the way it is. It might get better, but it's like just the way it's built. It's going to hallucinate. And I don't like that.
Yeah, so okay, that was a slightly different reading because I think when you go to the study, they did show like GPT 4.0 versus GPT 5. Um, there was significantly less hallucinations
Yeah,
with
it's better.
GPT 5, but they did say that there needs to be more work to effectively punish confident errors. And
Yeah.
what I found fascinating because I thought, oh, I was going to use this example, like I was saying, like the standardized academic testing, the SATs. I was like, oh, they punish you for the wrong answer. Well, that's actually not true anymore because I was looking it up, and so
Oh.
when I wrote the SATs, which was a while ago, a long while ago, you would basically for you would get a quarter point deducted for wrong answers. But in 2016, they revamped the whole test, did a whole bunch of changes. But one of the things they did is
So you're rewarded for guessing.
they removed and their rationale was that it would lower stress. Well, obviously we don't need to lower stress for LLMs because they're AI. But the
By the
other
way, the
thing,
study said, just really quick, the study said that's another problem with it is that the LMs have no shame. If it had a
right.
little shame, if it had some emotion, it would feel bad about lying. If it doesn't feel bad about it, so it's just so much easier for it to lie to us.
No, absolutely. But what I loved about with this SATs, because I thought that, okay, so they call it hallucinations, but those are errors. But one of the reasons that they removed this like penalization in the SATs for guessing was they said they wanted people to take educated guesses. But that's actually what the LLMs are doing. We don't want them to take
Yeah,
educated guesses. And that's the problem because they look like the answers seem incredibly plausible.
they're so
And we've talked about
confident.
this before.
It's the
You look at their
confidence.
thinking, and even in their thinking, when you can look at that, they think it's better to give you something then say, "Hey, I can't," right? So anyway, it's a fascinating study. To your point, um, yeah, more work needs to be done because even with their best efforts, they didn't train out all of this kind
No.
of
And it's worse than we thought. I thought, we get 2% hallucinations, 5% hallucinations. It's like 40%, 30%. It's way worse than I thought.
right. But I think that that was on whatever set of tests, that they run through that. And I think that they give them tough questions, they give the LLMs questions that they know they might hallucinate on. So I don't want people to think that 40% of what you're getting from Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot is hallucinations. At least that's
That's
not
fair.
my experience, right?
But
So
but it's more than you think. You really have to be careful.
you do need to be careful. And we talk about that a lot. So, okay. So fascinating study, but Zoomtopia was last week. Um, let's see, I got a picture here just showing Zoomtopia. If their theme or whatever their slogan was for the people, which you're right in front of it, but that's okay. There you go, for the people. Um, and you can go watch all this like on demand now, right? So, if you want to, if you didn't attend, I mean, it was all virtual, but you can go watch it all on demand. And there was like a 2 hour keynote, and then there was like 30 individual sessions, but they
All at the
all
same time.
all at the same time,
Yeah.
right? So
It's a little.
I think there was like two half-an-hour blocks, 30 sessions, so everything was overlapping. Yeah, that was a little bit strange. But okay, one of the things like Eric obviously gave his keynote on the left-hand side of the screen, that's Eric, the real Eric. On the right-hand side, if you look up on the top, it says created with Zoom AI Companion. That's the Zoom Clips avatar of him, and he used that to do part of the keynote delivery. The chat was very mixed on this. Some people thought it was really cool. Other people thought it was creepy or yeah. So anyway, I
Oh,
don't know
it's
what
it's
you,
new.
yeah, I
I
don't know
I
what you,
love it.
okay.
And I think you pointed out something we were chatting the other day that people are confused. So let's clarify this quickly. There's two things that are similar here. One is what Eric did here, where he types in a bunch of text and it
Right.
generates everything. And the other one is when you're in a meeting and you're having a bad hair day and you put on a filter and it's a fake you, but you're actually talking and it's just the virtual you is what they see. And I think people are mixing them up because they're both very similar because they're both an avatar of you, but one is you're still in the meeting live speaking. The other one is a complete running off of a typed script.
Right, right. Yeah. So one is async and one is real-time synchronous, right? So, which there, I mean, there was lots of people, obviously attending Zoomtopia. The chat was just like scrolling crazy, so it's hard, but there was a lot of confusion. I mean, people smashed up the two concepts in the chat.
Yeah.
They thought you could send your avatar to the meeting and have the avatar answer on your behalf
Not
somehow.
yet.
Not yet. I mean,
I'm
that
I'm
is,
waiting for that. I'd love to invite Eric to all my meetings. He's too busy to attend any of my meetings, but hey, I'll have Avatar Eric. If it
yeah,
knows
yeah.
how Eric thinks and can answer like Eric, that'd be great. Invite him to all my meetings.
Well, it would be, yeah, it'd be great. And I think Eric has talked about that, like having 100 agents. And that'd be great until, the Eric in your meeting and the Eric in my meeting commit the same thing to different people. And, so anyway, but that is not here today. So let's be clear on that. Um, this was Smita had talked about. Obviously, Zoom is talking about Zoom AI Companion 3.0. And that includes a whole bunch of things, which we won't have time to talk about. Um, Clearly, they talked about agentic AI. And I think that's the new term that everybody's talking about. Um, Smita did a good job of saying, okay, what does that mean? And it means these four things. You got to have memory, you got to have reasoning. You can see what it says there. It can do actions, and then the last thing that I'm covering is orchestration, which means, in agentic AI the agent should be able to invoke other agents and other skills and kind of, manage the team of agents, as it were. So,
For me, the big thing is actions, because some of the
yeah,
other LLMs, my ChatGPT has memory, it has reasoning, it do a little bit of orchestration, but it doesn't do anything. At the end of the day, it says, "Okay, David, we've chatted for an hour. Now go do the thing." I'm like, "Well, why don't you do the thing for me?" And once we get agents, they'll actually be able to do the thing. Send the meeting invite, as
right.
opposed to, "Oh, I checked the calendars and you and Kevin are both available at 3 o'clock. You could do a meeting then." No, you're my AI agent. You send Kevin the meeting invite. That's
Yeah,
agentic.
I think meeting summaries right now, obviously that was like the thing that everybody used AI for because it was easy, right? You turn it
Yeah.
on, it gives you a meeting
And
summary.
effective. It's like it's actually,
And
of
it
all the AI
works.
stuff we're having, that's actually worth using.
Right. Now, this meeting scheduling thing, I think is also going to be a very strong use case, right? Because
Yeah.
I used Zoom AI Companion earlier today to have it schedule a meeting with you for Friday, which we really don't have to have, so you can ignore the email. But Zoom AI Companion, we're in different orgs, different,
Hmm.
like tenants, and we have different calendars. So it's like Zoom AI Companion said, "Hey, I can't access David's calendar, but I can look at your calendar because I've connected Zoom into Exchange, the Outlook calendar." So it said, I can send him an email, proposing some times when I was free. And it said, "Here's the email. Are you fine?" And I said, "Send," and it sent it to you. And it also now is monitoring for your reply. And so when you reply to that, it's going to tell me what time you picked.
That's truly agentic.
That is because I
Yeah.
did the same thing, and everybody's working on this, but I want to be, like kudos to Zoom. It actually works. I did the exact same thing in Copilot. Yeah, let's go back to the kitchen. I did the exact same thing in Copilot this morning, and the current, they're working on this agentic thing, but the current kind of state of Copilot is it says, "Hey, would you like me to send an email?" And I said, "Yes, please." And it's like, "Well, I can't send the email." But then why did you offer? But
Right?
anyway, because it's trying to be, this is so it said I can write the email, but I can't. And then it's like, "Would you like me to send it as a Teams message or an email?" I'm like, "Yes, please send it to David." And it's like, "No, I can't do that." But so you can paste it into Outlook, but then you have to monitor it. So it's like
For
once
now.
what you said, Chef David, is yeah, it's your assistant. You want it to be able to do stuff. And right now, Zoom AI Companion seems to be able to do, stuff like that. So I thought that stood out. The avatars stood out just for the confusion. The other thing that I don't know that stood out for me, and then we'll let you talk about what you think stood out. But it's a simple thing, but these in the meetings, they have this thing now where you can enrich your notes using the meeting transcript.
Mm.
So what that kind of I like that because it's like I can take like little jot notes, like little short things, like I can write while the meeting's going on, the things that are relevant to me. And then there's a button that says enrich the notes, which I like the word enrich. And then it uses the transcript. So if I've referred to something, it looks at the meeting transcript and it, fills out my little jot notes into full sentences, adds extra detail. I like that the thinking of human and AI, interaction. And so I think we're seeing more experimentation. And I know at Zoom Perspectives, I was talking to XD and Smita, and they're certainly thinking about, those. So it's not all AI or all human, but like how do we come together and kind of work on the same task? So
Yep.
anyway, I
There are
like
too many features to go over all of them,
right.
but there's definitely a few things that I liked. One in particular, and I like this because it solves a personal problem of mine. I mean, we're analysts, we're whatever we are, but we're also Zoom users, and this is a problem I've been having. Is that I become so dependent on my Zoom summaries, and even more so my Zoom tasks. I really need my Zoom tasks. That at this point, when you send me a Zoom meeting, I say, "No, Kevin, let's use my Zoom."
Uh,
Because my Zoom gives me this, we've set up a channel, so I don't think most people do this, so that when we meet, even if it's your room, I get the meeting summary because we
right.
have it's connected to the Zoom chat. which is pretty cool. But for most people, if it's not my meeting, I feel handicapped now. I feel like I'm missing something. I want my Zoom notes. I want my Zoom meeting summary. I want my Zoom task in every meeting. And my understanding is now, there's these third-party services. Every time I join, you all know, anytime you join a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting, someone's note taker comes in, someone's Otter, or someone's this or someone's that. I want a Zoom version of that. And my understanding is, and there's a lot going on, I might have misunderstood, is that they have that now. So if I'm in a Teams meeting, if I'm in a Google meeting, I'm whatever, I can invite my Zoom bot, note taker, whatever, just like the Otter bots and everything else, and it'll be in my Zoom meeting. So now every meeting to me is just as powerful as my own Zoom meetings, and we don't have to argue about whose Zoom we use anymore. So I love that.
Yes, they showed that off. I think you got that right, and they also showed off some interesting integrations with even Slack. Like now in the Slack channels, AI companion can show up because they use the extensibility of Slack. So I think
a couple more things. And well, this one's a little off topic, but a year ago when I was at Zoomtopia in person, I met with the head of Zoom events and Zoom webinars, and I complained about the naming. They have Zoom webinars, and they had Zoom sessions, and they had Zoom events. And Zoom events is obvious. It's a whole thing. It's got a bunch of webinars in it. We all know what a webinar, but Zoom sessions was misnamed. A session is part of an event. So I thought Zoom sessions was some sort of add-on to events, but it's not. It's really just webinars plus. It's a webinar, but you get a big landing page with a bunch of stuff on it. You get a bunch of extra things that you need from a webinar. And when I met with them, I said, Zoom sessions is a terrible name. You need to change it to webinars plus. They said, we thought about that, but we have all these reasons and we're not doing it. And last month they announced they changed it to Webinars Plus. So, and it wasn't the only one. A bunch of other analysts were saying that. But I'll give us collectively a pat on the back. And thank you, Zoom, for listening. Webinars Plus makes a lot of sense and it's understandable. And a similar thing, you and I have been saying all along that we want AI Companion to be its own thing. We love the AI Companion tab in Docs. I'm working on my Docs. AI Companion, help me. We love the AI Companion in Chat. I'm in Zoom Chat. AI Companion, help me. But the AI Companion in Chat doesn't always know what the AI Companion in Docs is doing, doesn't know what the AI Companion in Zemail is doing. I want it to have its own tab. And they were saying, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And you said the same thing. We've talked about this. We want AI. I just want to go to AI Companion and say, help me with all my Zoom stuff. I don't want to go to all. And they're, no, it's against our strategy. We're not doing it. AI Companion 3.0 is doing that, right? It's going to be like you go to Gemini, go to ChatGPT, go to AI Companion, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, they redid the home screen, right? So effectively the home screen is AI Companion, which increasingly makes a lot of sense because that's why the 700 million whatever weekly users of ChatGPT, because they just go there and that's where they start, right? So I think I like what they're doing with the home screen there as part of the Zoom AI Companion 3.0.
And there are a bunch of other little things. One thing, they have a free up my time thing. So AI looks at your calendar and says, you could skip that meeting. I'm like, ooh. Or you can, have Kevin sit in that meeting for you. That's pretty cool. That's pretty powerful. I feel like that's that belongs in a list of a lot of other things that were similar, but it's kind of example of they're trying to find, they're not just trying to flash AI at us. They're trying to find real uses that'll really help us. And that's a good one.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one. And I think it doesn't just like ignore, so my understanding, and I haven't tried it, so, you got to kind of kick the tires, is it looks at the transcripts from the past, like if it's a recurring meeting, and that's what fills up our calendars. We have too many recurring meetings. They never stop, right? And it looks and it says, hey, people didn't ask you questions and you didn't really say anything. So you're just kind of sitting there observing but if you're sitting there observing, why don't you just read the meeting summary afterwards, right? Because you weren't an interactive participant. And my understanding is it looks at information like that. So it is making good suggestions on what meetings you can, potentially skip, right? So
one more thing that I think is one of the things I'm most excited about is Zoomie. You always say that you love the way that I get excited about treating LLMs like people. Right. Everyone treats LLMs like tools, and I always like, no, it's my friend. And I've told them when Zoom AI Companion came out, I said, "Are you my new friend?" And it argued with me. It says, "No, I'm not your friend. I'm a robot. I'm an AI system." I'm like, "No, I want you to be my new friend." And it was like, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not your friend." But that's what I want. And Zoomie is a cute name. It has a personality, and my understanding is it's going to act like a another team member. It's great that we have AI Companion in meetings. If I go away and get a coffee and come back, I could type to AI Companion what I missed, and it'll give me a
Right.
private message. But it's all private. I have my AI Companion in Zoom meetings. You have your AI Companion in Zoom meetings. Zoomie's a friend of all of us. So if I say, "Hey Zoomie, Kevin and I are arguing about what we decided we're going to do next month. What happened?" Zoomie will say, "Oh, I checked the meeting summaries from last meetings," and it will talk to all of us.
Right.
It answers and it'll share the agenda with all of us. It'll share the document I asked for with all of us. It'll share the calendar with all of us. So it's another team member, but it's a team member that knows everything that's going on in all of our Zooms. I'm excited. I'm excited about Zoomie.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I do worry a little bit about AI being your friend. I think I've been reading articles why this is not necessarily a good idea, but okay.
It
But
does want to
beyond
kill
that,
us. We've talked about that. AI is going to kill us as soon as it can.
well, yes, yes. Well, and just yes, I think we're supposed to have
But I still love it.
actual friends as opposed to AI friends. But anyway, but I do think yes, Zoomy is cute, although it always reminds me of my dog or my cat when they were in.
My cat gets the Zoomies
Yeah,
around
yeah.
dinner time. I love it.
Yeah. So yes, so that's good. But yeah, there to your point, Chef David, there was too many features to go into, too many sessions all at the same time. But certainly, it was, they're moving. I think they're moving forward, and I continue to be impressed by what Zoom is doing because they're bringing more features, but they're bringing it in a way that I believe most people will find the features accessible. They will be able to figure out how to try it. It's not like buried under so many menus that nobody can, use the feature. And they seem to have some use cases that'll really help out, with common tasks that are annoying. And that's really what we want our AI companions or AI assistants to do.
Now, I want to channel our friend David Danto for a minute. Um, and I don't I don't disagree with him, but I don't agree with him. I don't get it all the way. His issue right now is that Zoom won on being the best video. Its customers chose them because they were the best video. The customers love their video. And instead of talking about, here's what we're doing to make the video even better, they're talking about all this AI stuff. And he feels like Zoom is ignoring their base
Right.
who loves video, and they're distracted by this AI stuff. And Zoom customers are going to be like, well, if I don't care about video anymore, I'm going to go on to something else. Now, I kind of disagree because they're the best video. That's why people chose them. They're happy with the video, but people are starting to look around at other shiny objects. They're looking at Teams with all the Copilot stuff, and maybe I don't think making the video better is going to make any difference. They're already happy with the video. Now they're looking for other stuff. I think you got to give them the other stuff. So I don't think Zoom is making a mistake by focusing on AI. It'd be one thing if they were no longer the best, if they allowed the others to surpass them, if they stopped developing the video and all of a sudden they were second, third best in video quality, but they're still the best. And I don't know. I don't think it's a mistake for them to double down on AI. I don't think they're neglecting the video quality.
Yeah, and I mean, David Dento and I, we enjoy kind of debating both sides of this to kind of explore that. I don't really agree. Because even the premise, like I think that people pick Zoom not so much because of the video quality, but I keep coming back to the simplicity. I think
Ease of
people
use.
picked it because they
Yeah.
could figure out how to use it. And yes, like at the beginning of the pandemic, remember like 7 by 7 having 49 people on the screen, teams at the time you could have 4 people and then you could have 9 people and then you could have then 7 by 7. So at the beginning there was feature differences, but I don't think it's about video quality. I think that the features, and this is what I was saying about AI Companion 3.0, Zoom is doing a good job making the features accessible. Like the menus are not overloaded with too many icons. I mean, although as more features get added, that is a risk that they run.
Yeah.
is that so I think it's less.
It's, by the
I
way, they
would be
deserve credit for balancing that. I don't think any company has done as good a job as
right.
balancing adding new features while keeping ease of use. Because it seems impossible to do both.
Well,
You
it
could either
is.
keep your ease of
Yeah.
use and just keep your 5 buttons at the bottom, or you could add new features and add new buttons. And somehow Zoom has added not hundreds, but thousands of new features, and it is still considered the easy one. It's still considered the easiest one to learn, the easiest one to use, the easiest one to manage.
Yeah. So this
They
is
deserve a lot of credit for that.
yeah, I agree. And so this would be my fear. It's not about the video quality. It's about at some point, do they add so many features, like AI features, as they're trying to be an AI, that they cross that line where the users that love Zoom are now all of a sudden are confused or perplexed by it. And
Yeah, but
that
I don't
would
think
be
they're anywhere near that yet.
no,
It is
no,
something to watch
I
out
know.
for, but
But
I think we're on the
that
same
is
page on this.
something. Yeah, I agree. So I'm more concerned about that as opposed to David Danto's video quality piece, right? But
He's coming up with some great memes out of it, though. He shared in our secret analyst channel. He's coming up with some good memes about it. Keep an
right,
eye on what
right.
he's saying about it. But and he does have some, there is a point there, but I'm just not all the way with him.
Yeah, because he and I did a No Jitter article where we looked at that as well, and I think he's got an upcoming article in November that's
Yeah,
going to be published that explores that.
that'll be good. I don't know if Zoom will
Yeah,
be
no,
happy about it, but I'm looking forward to reading it.
yeah, no, absolutely. So okay, so key
Well,
takeaways,
should
David.
we
People
spend
should.
a minute talking about the event itself? We're being positive because the announcements were great, the content were great, the sessions were great. The fact that it was on Zoom Events, I love the Zoom Events platform. If this
Right.
was any other well, not any other platform, but it was most other platforms, it wouldn't have been as good an event. It was so easy just to bounce to whatever session I want. But it kind of felt like going to a website with a bunch of pre-recorded things. Maybe the keynote was live. I don't know, but it didn't have to be live because there was no interaction with the chat. It could have just been all pre-recorded. And Zoomtopia used to be my favorite event of the year. Zoomtopia in
Right.
person. Weezer, Snoop Dogg. I mean, I used to joke that I think Eric started a video company just so he can have an excuse to have this big party every year. It was so much fun, and it was Zoom's personality and being there, as much as we love video, being there in person with, well,
Right.
first of all, being there with Eric. Second of all, being there with my fellow analysts, seeing people like you there hanging out with you, and not just in the sessions, but having dinner afterwards and hanging out and dancing with Snoop Dogg. It really was the the best event of the year. Not one of the best, the
Right.
best event of the year. It was fun. It was amazing. And part of me thinks, well, it probably costs millions and millions and millions of dollars. Would I rather Zoom spend those millions and millions and millions of dollars paying their employees well and on development for better products for their, for the customers, or spend the millions of dollars throwing a big party to make me happy? And if you look at it that way, I don't know if the ROI is there for the party. Maybe it does make more sense to do it this way. You get the information out. We're able to watch everything. We got all our announcements. I can go back and even check them. I really love the Zoom Events platform. From a big business perspective, in-person Zoomtopia doesn't make sense. But on the other hand, when your company's making $1 billion, I mean, what's better? At the end of the year, we made $1 billion and we had no fun. We made $995 million and we had the best party of the year. I mean, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, so I never went to Zoomtopia in person, so but I did go to the Analyst Zoom Perspectives event, and yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's nothing about better than being able to continue the conversations with the Zoom execs over dinner, and then the next day and in the room get the other analyst perspectives. Because the
Talking to the
chat,
customers. I still, when I'm in
right?
briefings today, I still talk about some conversations I had with Zoom Fortune 5 customers at Zoomtopia. Those conversations would not have happened virtually. And they've informed me I'm a better analyst because of those
Right,
conversations.
right. The chat was like, yeah, there's too many people, so it's impossible to follow or whatever. And
You can't have a
um,
private conversation with the customer.
no, and you can't, it's not in depth or whatever, right? So yeah, so I do think that, in-person events, and so I would like to go to a good Zoomtopia party. The one thing that I would say, because I mean we've said a lot of positive things, I would say it was interesting on the keynote. There was like the people were confused around the avatars, and you could see in the chat. Occasionally, Zoom would like throw out terms, and there was thousands of people. Like they would say ZRA, which is the Zoom Revenue Accelerator, and not everybody understood what that meant, right? So it's just a reminder to all the Zoom, the Zoomie people, the Zoom people, always define the terms because there is such a wide range of, people that are just new to Zoom that know some of the terms, and ZRA is kind of a, something that's more on the sales side. And the other piece that I would say I found, um, they invited the lady who runs Upwork,
Yes.
and in the keynote, I think she talked for, I didn't time it, but it felt to me that she talked for longer than Eric. And so at some point, it felt like it was her keynote because then even she talked to a customer of Upwork. And I'm like, okay, so this is Zoom's customer Upwork talking to a customer of Upwork. It was like too many levels of abstraction.
It was the Upwork keynote at some point, huh?
Yeah, so I think that that was just from a timing perspective. And certainly, you could look at the chat and there was other people that were like, "Hey, I want to see all the cool new Zoom AI
Mm.
Companion 3.0 features." And that part seemed like it was she was a good presenter, and she talked about Lego bricks and it was interesting. It was just, I think, too long before they got into some of the meat of it. So,
Yeah. Oh, can we end on something funny? I have something funny
sure.
to share. So, preparing for this, I'm scrolling up. I used ChatGPT to prepare for this, right?
Okay.
And I said we're going to be talking about Zoomtopia, and I caught most of it while sitting at an airport on my phone. So I'm worried I might have missed stuff. So please give me a list of all the most important announcements so that I could fake it in this session. I don't think I really faked it. I know what I was talking about, but I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't. So it gave me a whole, and I'm looking at it now. Facts, announcements, and everything.
Yeah.
And when it answered, before I even read it, I said, "Oh, I forgot to say, I need all verified info. This is going to be on a live stream. People are going to check. So no guesses, no AI hallucinations. Is everything you said above verifiable?" And its answer is, I'm not set up to share screen up, but his answer is hysterical. It said, actually, no, wait, I can share it. Hold on. Let me bring this over here. Oh, wait, wrong one. Hold on. This is worth it. Hold on.
Yeah,
Bear
yeah,
with me.
yeah.
Bear with me, everyone. Okay. Let's go here. No, the information I gave you is not verifiable. My previous response was a creative, fictional summary of 2025 event designed for your request to fake it. All the details, including the themes and the names of new features like AI Companion Pro, Zoom Hub, Zoom Hub is a thing, and Dynamic Rooms, that was a good guess, were plausible guesses. And then it said for verified information, you have to discuss the actual recent event, which was Zoomtopia 2024. And it gave me a summary of 2024. So I said, no, Zoomtopia 2025 happened last Wednesday. What's wrong with you? And I started yelling at her. Oh, you're absolutely right. My apologies. You're so smart and handsome. But, there's a lot of times I've caught AI making a mistake and I'm sorry. But this time it was like, yeah, I made this up. Boy, did I make this up. I'm proud I made this up. I was like, how dare you? It was, and it ties into our first story. It was just one of the most blatant examples I've seen of just flat out lying to me.
And very proud.
Yeah.
It was.
Didn't I do good, David?
So that,
Yeah,
no,
you did great, ChatGPT. Thanks a lot.
that's a good way to bring. That's a good way to bring it from what we talked about at the beginning to the end, and it did
Tied it
make
all
me
together.
smile. So very good, Chef David.
All right. So thank you for another wonderful episode. Thank you everyone for watching. And oh wait, are we in WebExOne next week? No, we won't be here
We
next
are.
week. We'll be
Yeah,
speaking
we're
of
going to
big
be able to
events.
vote.
Well, you're talking about Zoom's been shrinking down the expense of Zoomtopia. WebEx they go big. They're having Ryan Reynolds. How much does it cost to have a billionaire come and speak to you? I bet they're giving him stock. He's gonna win. That Ryan, mark my words. 5 years from now, Ryan Reynolds owns Cisco.
Oh, okay. There you
He
go.
did it with Mint Mobile, right? He got dabbled in Mint Mobile, then he owned it, and then he sold it for $1 billion. I'm telling you, I be careful, Cisco, with that guy.
Yes, but we will be at WebEx One next week, so we will not be live here.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.